Welcome to the Gentle Business Rebellion. You've done the work, you've tried the strategies, and still something feels off. This show is for established women entrepreneurs who are ready to stop second guessing, quiet the noise, and finally hear themselves think again. If you are ready to find your way back to work you love, I am so glad you're here because you're not lost. You've outgrown the business you've built. Let's build what's next. I'd like to welcome you to this special episode. This is an interview with my friends and mastermind members, Shelby DellaRosa and Kim Steadman. I brought them onto the podcast to dive deeper into this idea of building a gentle business, of finding your voice and reconnecting to your business again. So welcome to the conversation. Welcome, Shelby and Kim. So we'll start with Shelby. Would you introduce yourself and who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Shelby DellaRosa, and I am a coach and mentor for women who were caregivers, lost their person, and don't quite know what to do next.
Great. And Kim?
I am Kim Steadman, and I am an inspirational author and also a word shepherd, which also means a writer coach.
All right. Well, let's just dive right in then. We're going to talk about what does a gentle business mean to you? This is something I talk a lot about in my newsletter, in the podcast. We've talked a lot about it in our mastermind gatherings. What does a gentle business mean to you when you hear that word and you think about your business?
Well, for me, it means following my bliss, which is talking to people, helping women as they transition from grief into what comes next, rather than chasing tech problems in my business or marketing issues or any of that kind of thing.
What makes that blissful for you?
I love the connection, and having lived the caregiver, the loss, and then the after, it's my passion to help other women walk through that.
Yeah, I totally get that. What does gentle business mean to you, Kim?
For me, from an author perspective, and also for coaching other authors, it is getting very true to my why of why I'm writing, what I'm writing, and who I'm writing to. And it's gentle because once I get firm in my why, it's easier to do the next step, which is find the balance. And I'm sure we'll talk about it later about things we take out, things we add in. But really, the gentle business, when I am working and writing true to my why, it is easier. It just things flow in a much more peaceful way rather than turbulent.
Also totally get that. One of the things that I've talked about more lately is about the gentle business rebellion, because we do live in a world of such noise and chaos a lot of times, especially in the entrepreneurial world. And a lot of times what rebellion means to me is building a gentle business, building something that's quieter. What are some of the ways that you've had to kind of put down your foot and say, this is my line in the sand, I'm not doing that anymore, and starting your own rebellion in terms of building something gentler for yourself?
Well, for me, I would have to say that, drawing a line in the sand of you can't be everywhere for all people. Which again kind of gets that back to your why and who your audience is and who my readers are. And, I am very happy with being the big fish in a small pond rather than the small fish in the giant ocean. I don't mind narrowing my focus so that I can truly write to and speak to and help it might be a smaller quantity, but I feel like I can have more impact. And to me, that's a gentler approach. It might be scary to think of narrowing down my 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 people, narrowing down the funnel of how many, but it's kind of like choosing your best friends. You're fine if you've got just your handful. You can't be best friends with everybody in the packed room.
So what got you to the point where you said, yes, this is scary, but I'm ready to make that decision?
I think really it's been just over the past few months. I mean, I've been on this process, but it's like I'm getting bolder. We've talked about it. I unsubscribed a lot of inactive folks on my email list. And I was bolder in doing that because I knew who my people were. And if they weren't a fit, then they weren't a fit. And that's okay. And in the noise, you alluded to it earlier about, it's just noisier now, even than 3 years ago. It's just the social media streams, just everything. And the email inbox, it's just noisier. And when you get that confidence of who you are with your business, what you want, it's easier to unsubscribe, to do the things that will make your input gentler. The less we see, the gentler of a life and business we can have. And so,
Right.
I love it after I've unsubscribed and gone through my, like just this week, I went to my inbox and I'm like, something's wrong because I don't have any, it's been 6 hours and I don't have any new emails. But it's because I did the hard work of unsubscribing from a lot of things. And so reducing that input makes life a lot gentler and business a lot gentler.
And we don't realize the noise coming at us until we take those steps. I find that very interesting. It's that low hum in the background that just becomes normal. And then you do start to quiet it. And then you look at your inbox and you do think, what's wrong with my email? Nothing's come in. And it takes some getting used to reduced noise. So yeah, I get that. What about you, Shelby?
For me, it's marketing and boundaries. And in terms of marketing, it's where I market and how I market. Just as an example, I don't do reels, don't like them, and I don't do Instagram. I don't like it. It's just not my personal jam. I don't feel comfortable there, so I don't show up well there. So I just don't. I've found other ways to show up, other places to show up that work for me where I can be me. And that's better for everybody all around. And in terms of the boundaries, that applies to the kind of people that I work with, the limits on my time and energy, and the voices I let inside my head. Because I have a few people that I follow, and I really like them as people, and they helped me in the beginning, but they don't work for me anymore. The way they work doesn't work for me anymore. So for me, I had to find a way to stay in touch with them personally because I do like them, but be okay with not following the way they teach and coach.
Right. Something we talked about just this week in our mastermind gathering was the better inputs, you get better outputs, and that we have to be very selective and be discerning in who we let into our world because it can be so noisy. And what you guys are both describing here and what I've experienced is that a lot of times building a gentle business and setting those boundaries, it's a mental game. It is making a decision emotionally and mentally to put yourself into that position of narrowing your field of focus and refining your niche or quieting down your inbox so that you can hear yourself think. And I think that's an important distinction, that it's not just making business decisions. It is a mental health decision a lot of times, or quieting that noise so that we can hear ourselves think again. And that's what I hear you both describing, that mental decision. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you look back at your business, both of you have been in business for quite a while. You've had phases of your business. You've had different types of businesses in the past. When you look at the business you have now, how has gentling it or quieting the noise, narrowing your niche, how has that impacted your business and how you feel in your business?
I feel more genuine in my business. I am able to use my own voice better because I don't have all the input from so many other people. And that has helped me connect better with more women. I think people can spot fake and phony a mile away.
And what specifically have you done to feel more like you? What are some of the things that you've done? What are the steps you've taken so that you feel more genuine showing up in your business and how you connect?
The first thing I did was a lot of journaling to figure out what I really want in my business, for my business, and from my business. And from there, I started talking. And this is something that we've talked about in the mastermind as well. Instead of just doing the writing, using our actual voices and talking into voice notes on our phones or Descript or whatever your thing is, so that you have a record of your voice, how you said what you mean, and it's so much more authentic. That's been the main thing. And that was something that both of you had both recommended. I think that started with Kim.
Yeah, it was.
But it has been a game changer.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I've been doing that myself this year. I haven't done that in a long time, besides the podcast, but just sitting down there and recording myself. These are the primary areas of my business that come up a lot. These are the things that I'm very firm in. This is what a gentle business rebellion is. This is what I think gentle business is. And being able to speak it out like that, I was like, whoa, I have a lot more to say. And now that I have had a chance to record myself and hear it and do some analyzing of it, it's like, okay, no, it is finding my voice or unburying it or reconnecting with it. I'm not sure exactly what to call it yet, but it has been a game changer for me. And also you can tell when that shift happens in someone because they show up differently. They sound like themselves. They sound more confident. You lean in a little bit more, especially if you're their target market and their ideal person. So it's an interesting process to watch somebody go through as well. And what about you, Kim?
Well, I'll tell you, coming into my business in a new rejuvenated mode because I was in an intense caregiving mode for 3 adults, pretty much for almost 2 years between my two aging parents and then my son. So for about a 3 year period or 2 years, solid 2 year period, I was just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall a lot because I didn't really have the mental capacity to think about business. So the past few months has almost been like fittingly a rebirth of me and my business. And it came at a very timing is everything, perfect time that it was time to get back into thinking about business. And so I was able to quickly get in touch with what I wanted to do versus what I thought I should do. And a lot of times, what we think we should do, at least for me, is because I'm listening to other voices. I'm watching too many people of what they're doing, and
Mm,
I feel
yeah.
like I need to match them. I need to be like them because they're doing what I want to do, but they're not me. And there's things about me and my personality and what I feel is important and what is, and so, it was just a very fitting time to just really like pull away all the layers. And I think it was in one of our calls, Marta, because I said something about, well, I should do something. And I think you said, why do you think that should be your focus? And it was when you really kind of called me to the table because it's like I truly was ready to focus on my authoring journey. Because prior to all that, my authoring journey had been coupled with some other things like being a VA and doing other work for other people. And I don't know, it just came to a time now to where I could focus on me and what I really wanted to do. And it was to focus on my journey and let my journey be as a case study for other authors and to be able to help them and to help them get true to themselves of what they really want to do and what they really want to write about, what they want their author success to look like, which We talk about that, in our businesses. What does success look like for you? And when you're journaling those questions, and when you really start peeling back of what does it really look like for you, I think the reason that you're going to be listening to this podcast, the reason you're going to be drawn to the word of gentle business, is because you are wanting something different. Life's too crazy. You've got to have something gentle, and your business needs to be gentle, or you want your business to be gentle.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially for us women of a certain age, we have different priorities. We have different energy levels, and we want something different. And all three of us, you alluded to your caregiving that for the last 3 years. That's been my story for many years. Shelby, you've gone through caregiving, you've gone through loss, we've all gone through health challenges. How do you think those experiences have impacted your view of your business now, especially now that you're on the other side of a lot of those scenarios?
Well, I think for me, it's as we get on this other side of things, we start realizing how we're so hard on ourselves about different stuff, because we're women and we're supposed to have our superwoman cape. And that's kind of the mindset that we unfortunately uh, think media makes you feel like that, or maybe just because I watch too many superhero stories and stuff and movies and everything. I don't know, Avengers and stuff. You got to go out there and got to do it all. And we don't have to do it all. And we can't do it
No.
all. We can't,
Yeah.
because it will wear you down. I mean, at one point, I was ready to just shutter everything. I wasn't even going to write anymore. I wasn't going to coach anybody. I was just so tired. I was physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted. And because I was trying, but now I can look back on it and say, well, I had gotten off course. I was trying to be like everybody else. I didn't stay true to me and my calling, and um and the too many voices, and it wore me down. And so part of gentle business is really weeding out as many voices as you can,
Right.
and just getting certain, just the certain. In fact, I just was talking to somebody this week. I said, because she's telling me all these things that she's listening to and she's doing, and she's signed up for this and signed up for that. That is too many voices. You're going to wear out. You can't do all that. Find one good person that you can follow and just listen to what they say. And until they are not feeding you anymore, then go find somebody else. But it gets too tiring to listen to so many
Yeah,
things.
it does. What about you, Shelby? How has your caregiving and the health challenges that you've gone through, and how has that impacted the business you have today?
Well, it's kind of interesting to me. I was just doing the math in my head the other day, and my first business I started 31 years ago when my husband became disabled, lost a huge chunk of his income, and we needed money. But I also needed to be present for him, and we had 2 little kids still at home. So working from home was the only way to go. And I made it work. And every evolution of my business since then has, in one way or another, been born from stress, whether it was caregiver stress, financial stress, or whatever. And I think that's how a lot of us end up being entrepreneurs. Not everyone, but a lot. So, what has evolved over that time is I'm done with the caregiving years, I'm done with the immediate grief years. And now at my age, I have health issues, as a lot of women do as we age. And my sisters used to tell me when I was in the midst of all that, that I needed to stop trying to be superwoman. I finally decided they were right. So not only do I need to stop, I can't do it. And so this evolution of business is really built around that. It's about honoring my passion, which is to help these women, but also honoring my time, my energy, everything. And so everything has really evolved from that. I do put boundaries around my time. I do put boundaries around the kind of work I'll do, for how long I'll do it, all of that kind of thing. And it has not only enriched my business, because it has, I talk with a lot of women, it has also enriched my life. I get more time with my family, more time for hobbies, all the things that Superwoman didn't have time for back in the day. My life is actually richer these days, and that's a blessing. And it's one that even 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, I would have poo-pooed a little bit, and I don't anymore.
That's a significant shift because it takes a lot for women, especially Christian women who have been raised in certain ways in the church and through families, that looking to your needs and looking to rest and approach life differently is not always taught or encouraged. And so I know for a lot of us being raised that way, that it's taken some time to work through that to the point where we go, you know what? Jesus rested. he, he rested in the boat. He slept while the storm was going on. So if he can rest, we can rest too. And the more I'm in this journey of entrepreneurship, the older I get, and we talk about in the mastermind, I've started to talk about it more, but I truly believe that rest is what makes it possible to build a simple and sustainable business, a gentle business that makes an impact and can generate an income. Because if you are flying by the seat of your pants, if you have so much noise coming at you that all the bright, shiny objects are grabbing your attention, you go for them. Your voice, your business, your expertise is so diffused that nobody really understands what you do. Plus the fact that our brains are wired, none of us have problems generating ideas. We do not need any outside influences to help us generate ideas. But to execute those ideas, we do have to approach things gentler. We do have to approach them simpler and more sustainably moving forward. So yeah, we have to overcome internally and make that decision for ourselves that it's okay to slow down, that it's okay to put down that superwoman cape, and it's okay to narrow our focus so that we're more deeply involved. And tell me if I'm right here, but I think I am, that the more refined that you've gotten and the more focused that you've gotten more fulfillment out of the work that you're doing, and that you feel like you're making a better impact rather than trying to be everything to all people.
Absolutely.
Wholeheartedly, 100%.
That is a gentle way of doing business. That's
Right.
really quite something. And what we talked about in our last meeting, that gentle does not mean weak. Gentle does not mean that you hide. A gentle business takes work. It takes going through some of these seasons of learning, this doesn't work. This was really hard. Apparently there are some lessons I needed to learn in order to see it differently on the other side. But a gentle business has to have boundaries, and we have to reinforce those boundaries. We have to go on those unsubscribe missions. We have to quiet the noise. We have to make the decision, I'm not chasing that bright, shiny object right now. So as you are narrowing your focus and you're getting clear on what your version of a gentle business looks like, do you find the bright, shiny objects get brighter? Or do you find that they show up, but you can dismiss them? Or do you find that they fade and you don't notice them as much?
For me, they do still show up, and some of them are very bright and shiny, but I have a filter now that I run them through, such as its impact on my time and energy, and how if it will be effective in helping me help women better. And so I don't play with them until they pass through my filter.
Yeah, I was going to, my answer is similar. I mean, I'll see them, but I'm immediately, my filter is, do I need this right now? And if it's not a right now answer, then it gets deleted. It goes away. I'm done, because it'll come back around when it's the right time. It might be $75 more, or it might be, I don't know, but I'm not, I'm trying to get better about not getting things that go directly onto my drive or cloud and become digital dust. If I don't need it right now, I'm done. I'm okay.
Right.
And
That
that's
digital
big for
shelf
me.
help.
There's no shelf help. But used to, I would have said, oh, well, I'll get it and I'll get back around to it. Well, we need, around to it that we can really hold, because we don't ever get back round to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've had to retrain my brains. You know what? $97, that's a fantastic price. If it's valuable at 97, it's still going to be valuable at 127.
Mm.
So when it's the time and the budget says yes, and I have the time to commit to it, I'm okay paying the 127 price, even though it's a little bit more. But if it's going to help me, help my people, and help me do business better, I'm okay paying a little bit more. But then it's also not putting that weight on me right now because I bought it. Now I need to go work on it. And I feel guilty when I don't. And it does collect digital dust. So it doesn't always save me money. It may save me money in the moment, but sometimes it is more expensive, but also more skin in the game. I'm actually more likely to go work on it and finish it and actually apply it. So it kind of goes both ways. So moving forward, both of you mentioned that you found your way to focus and narrow what you do, who you do it for, and you finding that you're feeling more genuine in your business. What are some of the ways that you're going to continue refining your voice and keep using your voice so that you don't lose it again or bury it again? What are some of the things that you're going to do moving forward to stay connected to your business and to your voice?
That's a really good question. Because I would have to say that for me, and I know you have provided this for us throughout time, about doing a monthly reflection of where my business was, where it's been. And I used to do that when I did VA work and stuff like that, because I wanted to know things, data. I think that is important as part of continuing my gentle business, because when I can see that I narrowed my focus, I am doing things, making offers, and now my voice is coming through. My offers match my ideal reader. I will see results. And so doing a review lets me see, oh yeah, I am making some headway. So, I'm going to do everything I can to protect this. It's kind of like going in and you clean the refrigerator really good and you organize everything really, really well. And so the first time somebody comes in and pulls something out and doesn't put it back where it's supposed to be, it's like, wait.
Yep.
We gotta get that back in line, because we don't want the mayonnaise over there. We want it back over here with all the other condiments. We don't want it, over there by the anyway, just having that
Yep.
feedback. Having a feedback loop, whether it's monthly or quarterly, but really I think monthly, so that you can see that decisions that you're making, actions that you're taking, that all are aligned. It just gives you that feedback loop to where, okay, yeah, I am on track. And it will help me to continue on the gentle path, because I sure don't want to go back to feeling like a wild maniac.
Yeah,
Good way to put
absolutely.
it.
Yeah. Well, and data, when you're tracking the data that makes an impact on your business and what you see visually about your business, is very motivating, and it can be self-correcting, and it's a gentler way of doing business rather than flying by the seat of your pants and throwing that spaghetti at the wall trying to guess at everything. So that data, and everybody's business, we all have core numbers that we need to track, but there are certain things about your business, Kim, versus your business, Shelby, versus mine. There's certain data that is important to each of us that we need to be able to track, whether that's email numbers, how many offers, how many times we reached out and made an offer, how many things that we sold, what is the website traffic, all of that. But I have a podcast, so I need to check my podcast, but I also need to make sure, how did people respond? Did people respond and have a conversation from me from my email? Or did I reach out to somebody and start a conversation? how did I feel about talking about what I do? I mean, there's also that sense of ownership. Okay, did I feel like I was showing up as me, or did I feel like I veered off path a little bit and sounded like somebody else regurgitating what they were saying? And so putting those regular routines into our business, I think, are an important part of developing and maintaining a gentle business, a simple and sustainable business, so that we're making decisions based on data, not just on feelings, but we have to understand how we're feeling in our business. But there has to be some data behind it to justify, I'm putting my focus here. Is this still correct? Or do I need to pivot a little bit, course redirect? So I think that's a fantastic idea of creating a monthly, and I agree with monthly. I think eventually quarterly would help, but monthly gives you instant feedback, whereas quarterly starts to give you more trends, and where monthly can give you instant feedback on what's going on. So, and what about you, Shelby? What are some of the things you're going to be doing moving forward to keep checking in with your voice and in you and your business?
The monthly review, honestly, I had stopped doing it sometime around the holidays when everything just got busy, and never really got back into it as a habit. So that is becoming a habit again the last couple of months. The second is continuing to speak my thoughts about my business, what's going well, what's not, what I'm hearing from women I talk with, so that again, it's all in my voice. And I think maybe one of the most important things is finding a community like this mastermind. And it doesn't have to be a mastermind, although I highly recommend it, but a community with like-minded women where you get to know one another, you get to know each other's goals for your business, and where you can speak truth and love when somebody's veering off course.
Well, you
That's
beat me to my
vital.
next question.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, I'm glad you did. That's an excellent segue, because working from home is very isolating. Being a caregiver is very isolating. Wrestling with healthcare issues is very isolating. And when we are isolated like that, one of my favorite quotes is from the author and trainer Barbara Sher, and she said, "Isolation is the dream killer." And so when you are by yourself, it feels so much harder. It's not gentle, and you feel like you're the only one going through all of this. And that is one thing that we do in our meetings, is come alongside each other and say, you know what, you're not alone. Okay, you asked this question, but let me pull you back over here. What about this project over here you started with? Or Kim, you had a project this week and you wanted us to hold you accountable and ask you, did you get it done? So for you, Kim, what you did do it. When you find, I mean, we've all been part of a lot of different communities, and this one that we've created together is very special. What is the difference for you and Kim, Shelby, feel free to jump back in, finding the right community? And again, it doesn't have to be the Gentle Business Mastermind. It needs to be one that fits you, the listener. But when you guys found the right community, what difference has that made in your life and in your business?
Well, the difference for me is it breathed life back into my business, because I knew that even though I was ready to get back to writing, get back to coaching writers, I knew enough about myself and about, there's still caregiving. It's just now I have a team of people. It's not just me doing it all by myself. But having the right community, I knew there are groups that are really like everybody's running on monster energy drinks in there, and they're just very fired up
Yeah.
and all over the place, and they're going to go do this and they're doing that, and it's just very like it's noisy. And I knew this type of mastermind where we're not chasing everything. We're just approaching business at a more, well, gentle. We're approaching it from a gentle mindset, because I can't do all that. I mean, that's some of the people I've unsubscribed from. I love them to death, and am so glad for things that they've accomplished and stuff, but I'm just kind of, I'm like the old lazy hound dog right now, but I'm not lazy. I'm relaxed, and being around that type of higher energy, that's not me. I'm not the high energy person. And so finding a group that fits your personality, I guess, that also fits your business, and finding one, it's important because like you said, you don't want to, it can be solitary and then all you're doing is listening to the sound of your own insecurities and stuff bouncing off the wall. And it helps to have other voices that can draw you in, calm you down. It's important to me for just having the right personality of a group. And when you've got those like-minded people, but there's still a variety, they can see things that you can't see. And it helps it grow.
That is wonderful to hear. Any last words from either of you? Anything that you would like to share, or anything else from the conversation that sparked something in you?
I wanted to say that we too frequently forget to rest, and it's great to have somebody in your corner who will help you to remember to do that. This is a Friday afternoon when we're recording this, and I hadn't made plans for the weekend about how I was going to rest until Marta left a prompt in the mastermind chat about how are you going to rest this weekend. I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to think about that. So to have people in your corner in all the ways, not just the specific business things, but the impact across your life, that's just vital for me. And it has helped me transition my business a lot.
I think I would also say, to add on to that about rest, I think women who struggle with health issues, who have a lot of different responsibilities that are wearing you down and weighing you down. That's why still having your business and loving your business, but learning how to do it in a gentle way will breathe new life into your business. Growth in your business and new life in your business, it does not have to only come from wild, frantic type business actions. It
Yeah.
can come through slow and gentle. Think of blowing up a balloon. It's the slow, gentle puffs of breath where you get the balloon finally where it needs to be. If you go into it too frantically, it either gets away from you or it pops. And anyway, so just kind of going on to that about the play and the rest. How are you going to rest? Because play can also be very active. I'm real good about playing, but Marty, you always draw us back into how are you going to rest? And I had to think about that. Again, it's like I had not really planned on that either, because it's also, this is coming off of a short week and we've all been messed up about what day of the week it is.
Yes.
So I'll blame that on my issues this week too. It's like, I don't even know what day it is. But rest, is different than play. And we have to remember that as women, and as with whatever different things going on in our life, rest is so important. And it will, just that part will also breathe life into your business.
Yeah. Well, that is an excellent note to end on. So thank you both for joining me today. Thank you for jumping on Zoom and having this conversation. My highlight of my month is getting together with these women and discussing business on a deeper level and creating space for us to pursue successful, gentle businesses and being able to define for each of us, because each of our stories is unique, what a successful, gentle business looks like. So thank you again very much. For you listener, if you would like to learn more, you can learn more at gentlebusinessmastermind.com. And we'd love to include you in future conversations. So again, thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you in the next episode.